Uruk was one of the most significant cities, and at one point was a center of attention in ancient Mesopotamia. Uruk was thought to be founded by King Enmerkar somewhere around 4500 BC. This is according to the Sumerian Kings list, a unique artifact that leaves historians baffled to this day. But I'll leave the Kings list for another video. The city of Uruk was located in the southern region of the Sumer, which is modern Warka, Iraq. The word Uruk was known as Uruk in the Urmadic language. It is thought that this led to the modern name for the country of Iraq. Another idea was the word Iraq came from Al-Iraq, the Arabic name for the region of Babylonia. When most people think of the city of Uruk, it is known for the epic tales of Gilgamesh and his conquest for immortality, but the city is also known for some of the first things in early civilization. Uruk is considered the first true city in the world. It is known for the origin of writing, one of the first examples of architectural work in stone, and the building of great stone structures, such as the origin of the ziggurat, and was the first city to create the cylinder seal, which was used by ancient Mesopotamians to designate personal property or sign documents. The cylinder seal was groundbreaking for its time, as it stood for a person's personal identity and the reputation within the community. This can be seen as the first recognized importance of the individual in a collective community. The city of Uruk was always occupied with people since its founding, but according to legend, Uruk was established by an earlier king, King Enmerkar's father, the legendary king Mishkina-Gashir, somewhere in the distant past. But take the legend with a grain of salt. Evidence discovered by archaeologists suggests that the site of Uruk was established by around 5000 BC. This would be around the beginning of the Ubaid period and was considered a town. The Uruk period is divided into several phases. The early Uruk period, from 4000 to 3800 BC, the middle Uruk period, from 3800 to 3400 BC, the late Uruk period, from 3400 to 3100 BC. The city was most influential between 4100 to 3000 BC. This is when Uruk was the first urban center and place of trade. As for why Uruk ruled the region, and why it became the first known city, we still don't really know, and is still much debated, because many historians have questioned how Uruk used its political control over the region, which is shown by the large area of Uruk artifacts found. We don't know if Uruk used force to stay in power, or what organizations were in charge. All we know is that Uruk was the city to start the urbanization process. The funny thing is that the city of was a better place for trade, as it was further south, closer to the Persian Gulf. It would have made more sense that was the first city, and not Uruk. But of course, that didn't happen, so there might be more to the selection of Uruk than just better placement and influence, so we're stuck with that for now. Uruk artifacts from the period appear pretty much at every excavated site across Mesopotamia. One such artifact from the Uruk culture was the beveled rim bowl. The bowl was produced using a mold and was mass-produced. It was found in large quantities throughout Mesopotamia. The bowl seemed to be a method of how the workers were paid. This is by a certain amount of grain etched into a standard bowl. The discovery of the bowl suggests that they were thrown away after use. The beveled rim bowls became so popular that manufacturing locations appeared throughout Mesopotamia, going as far as the city of Mari in the far north. We don't know if the bowl was invented at Uruk, although most believe that it did originate from Uruk. If the beveled rim bowl was from Uruk, then it could be considered one of the many accomplishments because it was the first known example of a mass-produced product. The city of Uruk was divided into two sections, the Inanna district and the oldest, the Anu district. Both of these districts are dedicated to the goddess Inanna and her grandfather god Anu. Inanna was an important mythological figure in the history of Uruk, but I'll leave that for another video. As for the long decline of Uruk, it happened during the early dynastic period, from 2900 to 2334 BC. This was the period that came after the Uruk period. Uruk was still the seat of power in the region, but it was in a weakened state, and the major dynasty still ruled Uruk. The Great Wall of Uruk was said to have been built by King Gilgamesh. King Enetum created his first dynasty of Lagash in 2500 BC, and created the first empire in the area. A later king of that empire, Lugal-Zagay, respected the city of Uruk so much so that he chose the city as his capital and seat of power. In 2334 BC, Sumer was brought under the rule of the Akkadian Empire. In 2334 BC, Sargon of Akkad continued to pay respect to Uruk and the two districts of Anana and Enu and continued in use. They were renovated and better enhanced. It is sad to see that the city of Uruk lost the position of dominance it had in the Uruk period, but it still played an important role, continuing through the Ur-3 period from 2047 to 1750 BC. The third dynasty of Ur gave birth to a Sumerian renaissance that benefited Uruk as to the whole region. In 1750 BC, the city of Ur fell to the invasion of Sumer by Elamites, alongside the invasions of the Amorites. Uruk began to decline with the rest of the Sumer. Even so, the city continued to play an important role through the late Sumerian periods. It is important to note many other Sumerian cities did not do so well at the same time. The Uruk city districts continued to be maintained, but to a reduced amount. In the 7th century CE, this well succeeded the time of many other Mesopotamian cities, as much of them have been abandoned. Uruk had a lifespan of 5,000 years, which is amazing to think that an ancient city could last that long. The city of Uruk was finally abandoned in 630 CE when the Muslims conquered Mesopotamia. Thanks for watching. If you like the content, like and subscribe. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.